What is up, my nerd family, and welcome back to another episode of Gamesymaspod, the podcast where we talk about all things board games, video games, and pop culture. On today's episode, we are joined by Maralisa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm very excited. We're going to get to know you, get to know about your career. I'm going to be there with you guys, the listeners, because we don't know anything about her. So we're going to get the same reactions as, whenever you tell your life stories and stuff, talking about, we'll dive in a little bit in with Star Wars and then anything else that some projects that you might have worked on. So I'm very excited to hear about your life story and stuff. So I'm very excited. Guys, if you guys want to contact us, we're on all socials. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You can find us at Gamesymaspod. Throughout that, you can send us a DM if you want to ask us any questions or follow us. Give us a follow, like our posts and comment on there. We love seeing your guys' comments and interacting with you guys as well. And if you can also want to email us, you can email us at gamesymaspod@gmail.com. That is gamesymaspod@gmail.com. So I'm very excited to get started with this episode here. So guys, with further ado, pull up a chair, grab some dice, y acompáñeme a jugar. We are going to dive deep into your world, your life. No. We'll ease into it and talk more stuff like that. But
for sure,
as we do here at Gamesymas with our new guest, I like to do our icebreaker questions.
Okay.
And so it's a two-part question. There's two questions. Mm-hmm. Feel free if you feel like one of them, I don't have no knowledge on it.
Okay.
You don't have to answer any of them. If you feel like, if you just want to give like a basic answer, you can. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But it just gets to know the viewers a little bit because we're a nerdy podcast. We want to get to know more of your nerdy side and geeky stuff.
It's there. There's the nerd side.
There we go. I love it. So I'm excited about your answers. I'm very curious to hear what your answers are going to be. So the first question is going to be, what is your favorite board game of all time? And I'm including with board games, I'm including tabletop games. I'm including dice games, card games, party games, if you have any of those. These could be childhood games that you loved playing, or it could be a game that you literally played last week and you're like, this is my favorite game ever. I'll include any of that. Second question is your favorite video game of all time. Again, not just limiting it to just computer and console games. I can even include arcade games. If you like going to the arcade and playing a certain arcade, like as growing up, as childhood. Again, also, if it's a game that you played like yesterday and you're like, oh, I love this whole new game, feel free to answer that. So, well, the floor is yours, and I'm curious to hear what your answer is. I know it's tough to be put on the spot with these questions, but go ahead.
The second one is harder because I was going to say this because you have like a huge thing of board games over on the side that they probably can't see, but I'm not a huge board game person.
No worries. Yeah, okay.
I have my roommate. She loves board games, and she has so many of them, and she's always trying to get me to like play new ones.
Yeah.
And I'm just the kind of person where it's like I'm a visual learner, so I usually, like, if someone's trying to teach me a new game, I'm like, just play it, and I will learn.
Like, give a couple rounds, and we'll play.
Yeah, I can't sit and, like, listen to rules. But that's a lot of board games most of the time. Yeah. And it's hard because, like, people will be like, no, let me just explain it to me. And I'm just like, I promise you, nothing is, like, coming through. It's going in one ear and out the other. Like, I'm not paying attention.
You have to give it a couple rounds. Gotcha.
Yeah. But I do, like, there are a few board games that I really love. There's this game called Carcassonne. I don't know if you know it.
Carcassonne, yes.
Yeah. Do you have it? My dad just recently got it. Maybe like last year, 2 years ago, and it's so much fun. I mainly like it because I like win a lot of the time.
Those are the games that you like.
I'm not a competitive person,
right, okay.
So that's another reason why board games are kind of hard for me sometimes. But I also really love Clue. Like
Clue's a fun one.
Clue, like what I like about Clue is the rules are pretty much the same. Every time, so like you learn it once.
Yep.
You know how to do it for the rest of all time. Maybe there's like special rules on like certain board games.
Yeah.
But yeah, Clue and like Carcassonne. And then I think there's like a Disney board game. I think you have it, Villainous.
Yeah.
I think I've played that one. I think I've played like the normal one. And then there's a Star Wars one that I've also done.
Yep.
And I'm always Moff Gideon. Because I gotta be Moff Gideon. I love the Mandalorian.
Good old Moffy. Okay.
And he's also like I think the easiest one to beat, like or the one to win.
Right.
So that one. So yeah, I'm not a huge board game girl,
no worries. Okay.
Which is hard because board games are like fun to hang around, but it's like if I have to learn like a new one, I get
complexity.
And I'm not smart. Like I'm not the smartest person. It's just hard to like learn all this new stuff But after I start playing it for like an hour, maybe
you'll pick it up.
I'll pick it up. But the problem is like I don't want to spend an hour being confused.
Yeah.
I also really like card games.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. There's this one game that I usually play, Speed.
Speed's a fun one.
Speed is
classic.
so...
That's a classic.
Yeah, I go beach camping every year with like a huge group of people that I've known like my whole life, and it's like my family and all their families. I'm actually going like next Saturday.
Nice.
To the beach for beach camping week.
Nice.
And we have... Like for the last 2 years, we've done a speed tournament where I just like bring all like the younger people like me, and we just kind of like have a speed tournament on the beach, and it's so much fun.
That one's fun. I remember playing that one.
Yeah, people get pretty brutal.
Oh yeah,
there's
just placing down cards.
Bloodshed.
Yeah.
when I was younger, I don't know if you ever played Spoons, that board or the card game.
I've heard of Spoons. I've just been too afraid to play Spoons.
It's intense.
I've heard like war stories of Spoons. I'm like, ugh.
Blood has been shed.
Yeah,
on Blood.
literally. Yeah.
Like when I went to like church camp and stuff, there's this one called Ultimate Spoons where you put the spoons, like you're supposed to like put it in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
But you put them in like another spot, like halfway down like the street. So if someone starts racing towards it, everybody has to
running.
go.
Oh my goodness.
And like I've played Spoons with knives before.
Oh my goodness.
Plastic knives though, like not too bad.
Okay, right.
That
You're like over your kitchen knives, like let's go. We go hardcore.
Listen, they tried. Like I was a youth counselor once, and they were like, let's just. I'm like, nope. Like I'm the adult now, so we're doing Spoons. Like we gotta make sure that no one gets hurt.
Okay, so Spoons, all right, good selection of board games you get. Carcassonne is a fun one. I love playing that one. Building your little castles and tiles. That one's a cool, fun one.
So much fun.
Villainous is fun. Our mutual friend Sierra loves that one. That's one of her favorite games.
I played it with her.
Yeah,
she's the one who like I actually bought the Star Wars version because I liked the normal. It's just like kind of the main Disney villains. Right. But then when I heard that there was a Star Wars one, I was like, I need to get this.
You gotta get it.
It must be purchased by me.
For sure, yeah.
If there's a Mandalorian card, I pick it up.
You got to get it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, with Villainous, I had a pause on buying all the expansions because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
I think we're on our third one, and we're like, yeah, we got to stop. All our money's going to Villainous. Like, I love playing it. It's a fun game, but yeah, it's like at some point I'm like, oh, man, I've spent more money on playing them rather than actually playing them. So I'm like, I'll pause on them. So yeah, Villainous is a good one. Speed's also fun. Playing with a card game. Let's get into the tougher one. Well, your favorite video game.
Games is much harder because I love video games.
Oh yeah, same here.
I've played video games my whole life. My family, we've always like any new Zelda game, we play it together.
Nice.
If it's like a console, if it's like on the DS, it's like you can't play Spirit Tracks with your family.
Everyone's looking like scoot over.
Yeah, but like growing up, like my oldest brother would be playing, and we would just tell him like what to do and like how to get through the puzzle. So like I grew up playing like Ocarina. And I love Wind Waker. So all the Zelda games, like they're all just, I love every single one. Like I can't pick one, but I love like the Zelda franchise. Okay. But like personally, as like a person who now like plays video games by herself and not with my family, I really love the Horizon Zero Dawn games.
Really?
Okay. It was like my first real, besides like Breath of the Wild, it was my first like open world video game that I ever got for myself and like played with myself. Yeah. And the story is like really fun. I don't know if you know it.
I haven't, I'll be honest, I've seen it. It hasn't really like tickled my fancy because I'm like, oh, it feels like it's another like open world with like mechs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I, not to say I don't want to give it a shot. I do want to give it a shot. And like the graphics look amazing. The gameplay looks pretty cool. I just haven't like, I've just not seen a lot of positive reviews on it.
Really?
But yeah, from stuff they're like, oh, they're just like another like, wannabe so-and-so game, and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But
I haven't played any of those games, so I was like, this is amazing.
this is the greatest game
I've ever seen.
No, for sure, definitely, no. But it looks interesting. Like I said, I mean, I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't really dive into it. But I think it's coming out on the PC. So I'll probably give that a whirl a little bit. I know they just announced on Game Fest, Summer Game Fest, Lego Horizons. So it's like a Lego version of the Horizons game now.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
For those that have seen the previous episode, we did Matt and I did like kind of like a news type podcast where we gave our thoughts on games that have been released, like announced or trailers. And for the PlayStation State of Play fest that they did, they revealed one of them was the Lego Horizons.
That's
and I was
crazy.
Like, for me, I was like, okay. But for you, it would have been like tripping. I'm like, oh, this is so great.
I love the Lego game. So like, I can't believe I didn't hear about that. I really only pay attention to like Nintendo Directs. Like if those, and it's only because like, do they have any more Animal Crossing stuff?
Oh,
because I'm a big Animal Crossing girl. Okay. I love those games.
Nice.
And like, I played Pokemon growing up a ton, but I've kind of like fallen out of it just because it's a little repetitive now.
Yeah.
But my brother, my older brother, I have two. And my middle one, he's literally caught every single Pokemon. Like he
really?
once spent like a summer just getting this was like a few years ago. So he has like all of the latest ones, at least. Maybe the new game, like Violet and whatever the new one was.
Yeah.
I don't think he has those ones yet, but him and I, like, we played Pokemon together. Yeah.
So we go with Horizons as your number one video game, or is that kind of a contender?
That's a contender because I love the Last of Us games.
Ooh,
I really, and I will admit that the reason I started them is because I was like, Pedro Pascal's going to be in the show.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't grow up with them. Like, I didn't first play it when it first came out. But even like Pedro Pascal aside, they are so good. Like, they're beautiful games. Story.
Yeah.
And it was like, I never really played like horror games before.
Right.
So I was really scared. And I I kind of forced my roommate to be like, I was like, can you just like be in the room while I play this game? Like, cause I don't know if I could do this alone. Yeah. And we just ended up like playing it together. Like, we would switch remote like controls if we were tired or whatever, and just watch the other one play. So it like we like grew closer as we were watching.
That is so cool.
The gameplay. It was so much fun. So I think like Horizon is also definitely up there. I'd say like the Horizon games, Last of Us, and like just Zelda in its entirety. Like, those are my three.
We can go
favorites.
top three. Yeah, we can go top three. Okay, interesting. Yeah, the Zelda games are fun. What's your take on the Breath of the Kingdom and
Tears of the Kingdom?
Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
I loved both of them. I liked Breath of the Wild a little bit more just because it was so new and so different from how the other Zelda games were. Like, the other Zelda games were like pretty linear. I mean, like, you could call some of them like open world, but it wasn't as intense as Breath of the Wild was, where it was like you just walked outside and it was like, okay, go. Go. Literally do whatever you want. And it was like, wait, where's the fairy to tell me where to go? Like, listen. Like, hey, she's not there anymore.
No one's guiding me. I don't know what to do.
And it was like, but it made it so fun. And like, the story was really good. And I really, really did like Tears of the Kingdom, but they expanded so much that it was so overwhelming. There was like one weekend where I was like, all I'm going to do this weekend is go into the underground area and just like explore it. And then because it stresses me out when like my map is not complete in a video game.
I'm the same way.
I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, and I want to know like where things are. I want to be able to warp like anywhere I want. So I would spend too much time in Tears of the Kingdom, like getting to all these places and trying to go there. That the story kind of was just like, it's on the back burner. Like, I gotta get this map completed.
No, I feel I'm exactly. I'm one of those completionists where like I need to have like the whole map explored.
Yeah.
And every flash travel. That way, like when I do the main storyline, I'm like, I don't have to waste my time traveling here. I can just teleport there and then get on with the story. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom because I'm stuck on Breath of the Wild because like that game's so massive, and then it's a bit hard because it's like you don't level up, you just have to get good.
Yeah, you have to get the hearts, and you have to like keep going to the temples or whatever they're called.
Yeah, exactly.
The shrines.
The shrines, and like you have to like level, like your weapon breaks. You have to like have like 6 swords on hand so you can. I was just like, ugh. This is such a hassle.
Yeah.
And I have like 6,000 other games I gotta play. So I'm like, I'm gonna put that to the side. My wife just uses the Switch now. She loves playing Stardew Valley. So that's her.
Oh my gosh.
That's her game.
See, I can't get into Stardew Valley because I know I'm gonna get too intense about it.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm watching One Piece right now.
Oof.
And I'm playing Animal Crossing and like, doing other stuff. So I like, people have told me like, you'd love Stardew Valley. Like, it's so your vibe. And I'm like, I know it is, but I know it would become my life.
Yeah.
And I can't afford for that to happen right now.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
One Piece is my life right now.
It became Lydia's life for sure. She's like on year like 5, whatever, with like 2 million like gold, and she's like been like her farm's like all decked out. I'm just like, okay, cool. I mean, I used to be the expert at it. Now she's like surpassed me. Yep. She exceeded my limits. I was like, all right, well, I'll let her have it that game. So Lydia, you're an expert at Stardew, even though I don't want to admit it, but you're an expert. So there you guys have it. Maralisa's favorite board games and favorite video games. Her top 3s were Horizon for video games, Horizon, Last of Us, and any Zelda game, Legend of Zelda games. And then your board games, we had Carcassonne as one of them as a top-ish one.
Yeah.
Speed, another one as a top-ish one, and then Clue and Villainous.
Yeah.
So you had a couple to add on there. Great selections, great stuff.
Thank you.
You know, not too bad, not too shabby. Not a lot of people know about Carcassonne, so I'm like, that's good selection. But there you guys have it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that selection, that little tangent we went off on the icebreaker questions. It was good to kind of just get the blood flowing, you know, get the conversation going here, learning about board game stuff. But now let's get to the meat of the podcast here about Maralisa. Who is Maralisa and what does she does for her career? So for those of you listening, I know a little bit minimal about what you used to do as a career and things you've done. So if you want to guide us through that, I know you've worked with Lucasfilm. You've had your hands on a little bit of the project on what was Tales of the Young Jedi or Adventures?
Young Jedi Adventures.
Young Jedi Adventures. So you've worked on that. Pretty sure you've worked on some other projects as well. So yeah, just guide us. I'll give you the floor and guide us of what do you do? What do you do as within the film and TV industry and stuff like that? What's your job, official job title, and things that you've gotten and how you've got into it, your passions and your love and stuff like that. So you're gonna hear right here. Well, what does Maralisa do over here? So go ahead, take it away.
On my resume, no, I'm just I'll just go down from my resume.
I have 9 years experience.
I was a script coordinator and a production assistant on Young Jedi Adventures. That's the last project that I worked on, which was so fun, so amazing. I can get into that like a little bit later, but I'll kind of go into like how I started in the industry, I guess.
Bring us on this roller coaster of your life.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I grew up like always loving like animation and loving, you know, like kiddie cartoons and stuff. Even like when I was kind of like a little bit older to like not, you know, where it's like, now you're going to watch Gossip Girl. And I'd be like, no, I'm going to watch Gravity Falls. Like I love Disney Channel. Like that was my show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up like just, you know, watching cartoons like a normal person. We didn't have cable growing up, though. So I watched a lot of, like, PBS stuff, Arthur, Cyber Chase, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then, like, Saturday mornings, my brothers and I would wake up and, like, watch the, like, Disney Channel Saturday morning cartoons, like Emperor's New School or something like that. And, like, I would, like, go over to my friend's house to watch, like, Disney Channel and Nickelodeon.
Nice.
But, yeah, I grew up, like, watching SpongeBob and stuff. But it, like, really... the reason I kind of really wanted to get into animation and like be a writer was I remember being like, I think I was like 8 or 9, and my brother was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I think he was like pirating it because we didn't have cable, so we like couldn't watch it. So he like was watching it on the computer, and I walked in and I saw Katara on the screen, and it was as a like young kind of like tan-skinned Puerto Rican girl. Yeah. It was the first time I'd ever seen someone who looked like me on TV as like an animation. Because before, like, you know, I'd seen like Hispanic women and like Hispanic people like on Disney Channel on like, you know, Arthur or whatever. Right, I mean, even though they're animals.
Yeah, they're animals,
you know, like they have a little dark skin. But it was the first time I'd ever seen like a person who, like a young girl who looked like me. Up until that point, you know, I was and still am like a huge reader. Like I love reading. And all I really had up to that point was Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. Who like I would always say like I'm like her because I have brown hair and I like to read. Yeah. And like I think she has blue eyes and so does Katara, but whatever. But it was the first time I'd ever seen like
she's
someone.
French.
Yeah, she's French. And I'm not. And she like had my similar skin tone. Right. And I remember like as a 9-year-old seeing that and being like, whoa, like see like. You know, people make a really big deal about representation now, and I like remember how important that was for me. Like, like physically seeing that, and like emotionally watching that show and seeing Katara, who even though she's, I think like the Water Tribe's based off of more Native American, like Inuit tribes, which I'm not that, but I'm as like a young Puerto Rican girl, it was like astounding to kind of be like, wait, there's like a girl on screen who like is a great fighter, and she's also like very kind and caring towards her friends, but she's very passionate and she gets angry and she, you know, can have all these feelings and emotions and still be amazing and like well respected by like people. It was like, you know, life changing for me. And Avatar is like my favorite show of all time. Amazing so much of it is because, like, I mean, it's one of the great, I like genuinely, and everyone knows this, like one of the greatest shows ever created, I think. But so much of that was because of like the representation that I got. So it was kind of the first time I was able to like be, oh wow, like I can be on TV, like I can have characters that are like me be on TV, and that's so cool.
Yeah.
Then when I got older and was like still with cartoons and stuff and like watching things where it was like, you're 18, you should be watching like, whatever.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Yeah. I was a huge Gravity Falls fan.
Okay.
And that was at the time where I had social media now, like I was a teenager.
Right.
So I would go on Twitter and I would follow like people who worked on the shows that I loved.
Yeah.
Like Alex Hirsch was he was the creator of Gravity Falls, and I would like read his tweets, and he would sometimes talk about being in the industry and like working as an animation person and like writing episodes.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I was like, oh, people like have a career in this. Like people can like, it's not just magic that it gets on the screen. There's people who work on it, and you don't have to be an artist to like work in animation, which I am not an artist, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I only write. But it was the first time I was like, oh, wow, I can actually do this. So I ended up like pursuing film school. I went to film school. I like studied screenwriting. Okay. I had like a little like baby experience, like doing live action stuff in college, like nothing professional. It was all like student films.
Right.
And just kind of quickly learned like, I don't like live action. Yeah. It's a little hard for me. I don't know anything about tech. And people would expect me to know, like, how to set up cameras. And I'd be like, I don't know how to do this. And I would, like, people would tell me, like, Maralisa, you can't be on set because you just talk to people. Like, I was just, like, there to hang out. And people would be like, we're actually working, so you can't do that.
Oh, leave me alone.
So I, like, kind of like, solidified, like, okay, if I do anything, it would be in animation.
Right.
I graduated in 2020 during COVID. Okay. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was hard, but, I did it. I graduated. Then spent like a couple months just kind of like taking a break and being like, all right, I finished school. It's a global pandemic. Yeah. What do I do with my life? I like moved back home because our school like shut down. Right. And I had to go back to Vegas, which is where I'm from. Okay. And was just very much like, I'm like, what's going to happen to me, God? Like, I'm here in Vegas and I have a film degree. Yeah. Like, I'm never going to get a job. Like, what's going to happen? But I just started like going on LinkedIn a ton and networking with some people like through Zoom and all that stuff, and just happened to roll onto the company that I ended up working for when I worked on a show called Puppy Dog Pals, which is a preschool show it was on Disney Junior, but it was also on Disney Plus, and it still is. Okay. And I worked on their 5th season. I managed to I really just sent in a general application, which, like, sadly, that's really not how anyone gets in the industry. Really? So I'm really lucky. Like, most people, I truly lucked out. Like, most people, like, grind and work and, like, network. They get on, they, like, start off at, like, much lower level jobs than, like, I really started out as. But when I was in my like, interviews for the job, I remember my boss, like, who ended up becoming my boss, he was interviewing me. He was like, what other stuff do you want to work on? Like, if you could do anything. And I said, like, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like, I love, the animated shows. I love, like, all the Star Wars movies. Like, I'm a freak about it. It's, like, weird. Yeah. And at that time, I didn't know it, but he was actually working on what became Young Jedi Adventures. Oh. So he was, like, doing the development of that while he was working on Puppy Dog Pals. Yeah. And so he remembered that. And, like, a year later, when I was, like, still in the midst of working on Puppy, I was the script coordinator for that show, which was so, like, super fun. Basically, the things that I did on that show and, like, the things that, like, script coordinators do, it's a lot of, like, proofreading scripts, like, reading through, making sure things are spelled correctly, making sure, like, it's formatted right, so because you're sending it to, like, executives and stuff like that, so you don't want it to, like, you don't want the title page to look kind of, like, little wonky, because then they'll be like, what is this? Like, who made this? This
who
is
spelled
weird.
the wrong?
Exactly. And believe me, that's happened. I better make fixes, and that's stuff that I did. Like, I wrote those things, right. And, it was dumb.
For sure.
But that's a lot of the job. Okay. I also was, like, in the record sessions, which was so much fun. That's one of the best parts of the job, is, like, just getting to see, like, voice actors come in, and like, some of them are people that's like, oh my gosh, like, it's so-and-so. It's this person. Like, I remember you from this show I watched when I was but a child. Like, it's crazy. So I did a lot of that stuff. I did a lot of, like, note taking. One of the best parts of the job is, like, being in the writers' rooms and getting to, like, watch the actual writers really work and, like, create the episode, because, like, you kind of just come in with, like, what we call like a springboard or a log line, which is like a one sentence, like, this is what we want to happen in the episode. And then you go into the room and you like break it. You like figure out what these characters are going to be doing. Like, okay, our Bingo and Rolly from Puppy Dog Pals, like they're going to go to France because they're getting their owner like a croissant. And so that was like a lot of what Puppy Dog Pals was, which is such a fun show. And like what goes wrong, like how can they learn from like what's the message of the show. So my main experience is like in preschool stuff.
Okay.
I started on Puppy Dog Pals, and then after that kind of like rolled off onto Young Jedi Adventures, which was my last project, and it was so much fun. I was a script coordinator there. Also started out as like a production assistant, which was more of doing like, I mean, it's at least like for me when I was doing it as a PA, it's like a lot of like a catch-all kind of job where it's like, if someone needs your help, you go help them. That was something that I loved about the job, because anytime someone just needed help with anything, I would get to learn like what they do. And I would get to like, sometimes I would help out with like, with designs and like, putting them in like a lot of like cataloging things. And just getting to like meet people who have been working in the industry for years and becoming friends with them. Like, it was just so much fun to get to like learn how like a show is made from like really the bottom up, and like seeing like the process of it was so much fun. So being a PA was really awesome, because I was like able to do things that back on Puppy Dog Pals as a script coordinator, I wasn't in a ton of those meetings, because I was like mainly focused on scripts and focused on like getting pickups done, which pickups are like if we need like a line change from a character that wasn't in the original script, then we bring them back for like what we call pickups. And so I was in charge of like making sure all of the pickups, like we knew who we needed to record and like what episode we needed to record them with. It was a lot of like having all of these different things you have to juggle. And so as a PA, it was really fun to just kind of be like, all right, I can like take a break. Like I could just kind of like, I get to help out people, relax and like just learn and be in meetings where I would just listen to like, the higher ups kind of talk about like how they're going to make something and how they're going to like actually make this thing that like on the script is just like, this is a robot. And it's like, well, how does it work? Like, how do you make the arm move? It was so much fun. So I don't know if that like answered your question.
No. Thank you so much for sharing. That was awesome. That was like getting your whole life career story, how it started off. You said you graduate. What college did you graduate from?
I went to Biola University.
Biola, okay.
Yeah, so it's like nearby. I knew I don't know this area of Burbank. I do now because I've been living here for a while. But yeah, I was in like kind of the Anaheim-ish area.
Okay. Orange County area. Yeah. Okay. So you graduated from California, and then you moved back to Vegas because COVID happened. You're over here like, I did it. And then there's like nobody in the streets. You're like, oh, where's everyone at?
It was crazy. I was like, I never got to walk on my graduation. And that last semester was insane because like at the start of it, COVID wasn't a thing yet.
Right.
So we were all just like doing whatever. And I knew it was my last semester. So I was like, I'm going to like make it count, I'm going to live it up. And then like by the time March hit, they were like, you need to leave. Like you need to get out of here. Actually.
You ain't living up nothing.
Like you're not going to, you're not going to see these people anymore. Bye. And so I had to like pack up and move home.
Wow.
And I like graduated, like I finished school basically on a Wednesday at like noon. Like I finished my last final and just like walked downstairs, and my dad was there, and I was just kind of like, I'm done. Finish school forever unless I go back for my master's, but I don't want to.
They're like, you want some cereal? Like,
no, literally, that's what he did. He was like, do you need a hug? I was like, yeah. And I started crying. It was such a nightmare. But man. I mean, it actually really ended up working out in a lot of different ways. Not to like get a little bit sad, but just to say, my I moved home, and I was like really upset about that because I was like, I'm supposed to be like in California, like making it in the industry, like grinding, and here I am in Vegas, like with my parents, and I felt really bad about that. And then I actually started my first week on Puppy Dog Pals was just like some random week in August. And then that Wednesday, my dad actually was in the hospital because we found out that he had leukemia. He has leukemia. It's a good story. He's still around. He's still alive. He's doing good. But yeah, it was like a really scary time where like I was just starting my job. Like I was 3 days in. And my dad was in the hospital. It was during COVID, so we couldn't go see him.
Yeah.
Luckily, my mom at that point was a nurse. Now she's like a teacher, but she actually worked at the hospital that he was staying at.
So and she was able to be there.
She bribed her way through.
Oh, hey,
she was not a part of the cancer ward, but she was like, I'll get them bagels and then they'll let me in so I can see my husband. Yeah. And they did. So he at least got to like see her. But there was like a good week where we were just like, oh my gosh, like, what do? We don't know like what kind he has. Like he could either have had like a really bad kind of cancer that he would have needed to go into chemotherapy like immediately, or he would have had the kind of leukemia that like has kind of a cure, even though he would just take a pill basically, and it would kind of kill all the white blood cells that were like bubbling up in him. And luckily, a week later, we found out that he has like, not that any kind of cancer is good, but he has the kind where he's
manageable.
Tangible. He's able to still like live his life and all that stuff. So he was out of the hospital like a week later, but it was like a really crazy time. And it made me kind of like, not kind of, maybe so thankful to be home, to be with them, like with my parents. Cause it was just kind of a moment of like, oh my gosh, you never know. Like if I had been in California and like if COVID wasn't happening and I was just out there, I would have wished that I was here, like living with them. But through like, God's goodness, it really ended up like working out super well. And he's doing great. He was back at work like 2 days later.
You gotta be resting.
The doctors were like, "Don't go to work," and he was like, "I'm gonna go to work.
I'm going to work."
Okay, whatever.
All right.
So that's him.
Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Really was.
Crazy times. I mean, you just there's a roller coaster for you for sure. You just graduated, but then like you're done. Your school's like, we're shutting down. Go home. We don't want you. We can't have you here. And then stuff with your dad, stuff like that. But I mean, that's a crazy story. Story.
It's really interesting.
Thank you for sharing that for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, you kept your head strong and you kept going forward, and that's I commend you for that.
And a lot of like what helped is like the team that I was working with on Puppy Dog Pals, who a lot of them were also on Young Jedi. Like they really helped me through that time. Like they knew it was my first week in the industry, and they were like, if you need anything, like if you need to stop working, you can, like whatever you need. And it really like helped solidify like, this is like a really like animation. I mean, the whole industry as a whole is like terrifying. And I think that like, even as someone who's worked in it, but animation people, I think are just like such good souls. Like we're all nerds. We're all dorks. Like we're all, just like we all, we work and grind, and animation, it's not easy. Like it's a lot of like, it's a long game of like waiting for the episode to go from like a script to being on TV. It takes years. And I think that's just like the camaraderie of that, and like how people, like the team I was on, they really took care of me and just made it like so easy to like to work with them, because they've since become like really close, like really great friends of mine. That's like one of the really great benefits of animation, especially now because of COVID. Like I've pretty much only ever really worked remotely. I've never really gone into an office. And so having that like flexibility is really nice too.
You chill a little bit.
I've gotten to travel like so much these last couple of years while I'm working. Like I don't take time off. I just like
just go somewhere.
I go travel. It's mainly just visiting my nephew and nieces. And so
there you go.
Sometimes like I'll be in a meeting and I'll be holding a baby and they're like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in Texas right now." Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Let's focus on speaking.
Ignore the cries in the background. I'm listening.
Exactly. Okay, so you worked on, you said it was Puppy Dog
Pals.
So how long did you work there for?
For about like a year, like maybe a year and a half. That.
And then after that, did you go straight into Young Jedis, or was there a time period where you paused and then you moved over?
No, I pretty much rolled like right onto Young Jedi as a PA.
Okay.
Like spent a little bit as a PA, and then like was able to move up as script coordinator. So that's like was my last gig.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was really, really fun to just kind of move from there. And there was a point where I was kind of working on both at the same time.
Right.
But the other one was kind of like rolling down, so it was pretty easy to just like juggle both of them.
And with Young Jedi, was that also a remote job? Was that you were able to go in?
It was remote, but there were times where we would want to just meet up in person. Not even like for work, sometimes we would just be like, let's just like get coffee. Like, let's all just hang out. Because like that team, like we all have grown like really, really close. We just like are now, like so many of those people are just my closest friends now.
Right.
Yeah. So like there would be like, some remote, like most of it was remote, but there were times where we'd be like, let's all hang out. Like, let's just like,
it's been a while since
it's really fun when we get to like all be together.
Right.
Kind of like makes like certain meetings like go faster. It also makes certain meetings go really slow because we're all like talking so much.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely.
But yeah, it kind of at the end of it sort of became a hybrid, but much more remote.
Gotcha.
Which was really nice.
Okay, interesting. When you got transferred over to you said the script coordinator.
Yeah.
When you guys were done with like when an episode was written out and ready to go, were you part of like I don't know if in animation they do this, but do like the table reads when like they get everyone together and they read the script? I don't know if that occurs in animation. I know like in TV shows stuff like that they get everyone, they read the script. Does that occur also in animation, or is that more like, here's the script, we'll get you in the booth and let's go get the lines?
I mean, I've never worked on a show where we've had like the actors come in to do table reads. I know that there are some shows that I've never worked on, but I've heard from like friends or whatever that they do table reads like with the crew instead of like with the actors.
Oh, okay.
Just because like I think in animation it's a little different than live action. And then, again, I'm not an expert in live action, so I don't know, but I just know like for animation people, it's like those guys, like they're just so used to like going into the booth and like they get the scripts beforehand, so they're able to read through it and like kind of know the vibe that they're going through when they're doing it. And table reads in animation, I think, are kind of more just for like the writers to kind of hear the episode.
Right.
But like on the shows that I've worked on, we've never really done that.
Okay.
But it kind of just depends on like the project, and the people who work on it. So I would love to do that one day. Like I mean, I would have to like read through the scripts all the time, like by myself. So it just kind of became something that I would do by myself.
Yeah.
So it would be fun to have like other people in there.
Just act it out a little bit.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know how like the animation worked. I know like with TV shows and movies. Yeah, they get everyone together to do the script reading and stuff like that, and they move. Animation, I figured it would be different because it's like, all right, we just have this actor for so and so. Let's get him in the booth.
Yeah.
Say your lines. Do what you got. All right. Have a good day. Bye. Which is interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing all of that. That was so much awesome, guys. I'm with you there. We were reacting the same way. You probably react the same way I was reacting with your crazy life story, your roller coaster, how you got into being a script coordinator and being a PA, working with these awesome projects, working with Lucasfilm and working with Young Jedi, which I'm pretty sure you were freaking out and going crazy because as a Star Wars fan, you're like, yeah, I got to be.
Oh, it was insane.
So that's a big accolade that you can have on your badge, saying that you worked on a Star Wars project and stuff like that. With the closing here thoughts for about 40 minutes here, we'll dive a little into Star Wars because you're a Star Wars nerd, so let's pick that Star Wars brain a little bit.
Work.
Let's go. Here's a question for you here. Out of the whole Star Wars universe and of all the characters, who do you think you resonate more with the most?
Oh my God, gonk droids. No, I'm kidding.
Gonk droids? Yeah, gonk.
I love gonk droids, though. They're my favorite thing about Star Wars. But, oh my gosh, character, like, resonate? That's a really good question.
Yeah, someone that you feel like, because like you were explaining earlier about how like with Avatar, Qatar, you gravitate more, you represent. So with Star Wars, who do you feel like it's like, oh man, like that is her, I'm her, or I'm him, or like it doesn't matter who it could be. Who do you feel like you're more towards? Like, yeah, man.
I love Finn in the sequels, like Finn, John Boyega's character.
Okay.
We could get into this in another podcast about One Piece because we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Usopp's my favorite character in One Piece.
Okay.
I don't know. I like the kind of characters that are like a bit cowardly or very cowardly in Usopp's case, but like with Finn in like the sequels, he was so like, he was running away from everything and grew into like the courage that he gets like up until the end, like the last movie. Yeah. And so I just love that kind of character arc. Like that's something that I really appreciate when you have a character who like gets over their fears. Cause like I think like one of my big struggles is like having the courage sometimes and like feeling a bit weak or like feeling like a bit of a coward. Yeah. So I love watching those characters who like, I know that they have the ability to like be these great like these great fighters or like to be part of like a rebel cause. And so I love Finn. I think he's like a big one. Yeah. And then I don't know, like probably like Jyn Erso too. I think she has that kind of similar story arc where it's like at first she's like, I want no part of this. I like, this isn't my fight. This is my battle. Like, I'm peacing out. I'm just, you need me for this one thing. Like, give me my credits and I'll leave. But then as she like goes on in the story of Rogue One, she kind of, you know, seeing her father and seeing like how he fought for the cause of the rebellion, like changes her mind, and she becomes someone who's like, no, we gotta fight these guys. You know, now I'm part of this fight and this cause. That's like one of the best things I love about Star Wars, is just seeing people who are like indifferent. I mean, a Han Solo type also. Who's just like, I just like the guys who are like, this ain't my fight. I'm leaving.
Like, I'm a part of this.
Because I feel like that's how I would be. Like, if I was in Star Wars world, I would have a little gonk droid, and I would not want to be a part of like any huge like I'd be like, Darth Vader's scary. I don't want to be near him. Get me away. Like, I'm scared. But I would hope that like through, you know, going through the motions and like going through the story, I would become more of a courageous person.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, you want to come and join the rebel cause? We're going to go destroy things and almost right. Yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to.
I'm so fine.
I'm good with my moisture farm.
I will be a moisture farmer all day.
I'm good with my moisture farm. And
you know, I'm an Uncle Owen. I'm like, keep this away from me.
All right, so then let's go with, let's rank. Let's rank your movies. Let's go. Like we spoke before we filmed. Let's do the Skywalker saga. We'll exclude any TV shows. I mean, I can guess that your favorite TV show is Mandalorian, for sure.
Well, actually, it's kind of like Andor. I think Andor might be my favorite. I love Andor. Mando's a very close second.
So then let's go. Let's go. Star Wars saga ranking movies.
Okay.
What's on your top list of? From episodes 1 through 9, what's your number one movie that you can always go back to and watch it all the time, have it in the background, watch it, even whatever. What's your number one here?
It's probably Empire.
Empire Strikes Back? Okay.
Like, that's the first one I ever remember, like,
really?
watching as a kid.
Okay.
And it was literally just because it was Han Solo. And I was like, he's cute. Like, who is this guy? I love him. I think he's very handsome. I love Empire. And I feel like that's, like, you know, the top one for most people. But it truly, like, you know, you get Yoda, and you get, like, you know, Hoth is such a fun, like, place. I just like it when, like, characters are cold. And because, like, I didn't grow up with the snow. So it's like, wow, like, I love Leia's, like, every outfit that Leia wears, and also, like, just her as a person. Like, she's probably my favorite of, like, the OG 3.
Okay.
Love Leia. She's just so amazing, and I love, like, her outfits in that. I love Cloud City, Lando, my man, like, just all those. Like, I just love how, you know, when the characters, like, you know, they have to separate and then they come back at the end. It's just like a really good setup for like how the original trilogy ends.
Hot take for me is it is not my favorite one.
Wow.
I love it. I really love the prequels.
Yeah.
And episode 1 is like one of my top favorite ones.
Oh wow.
Mostly because like I just love the lightsaber duels.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And like that Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul Duel of the Fate choreography is probably peak Star Wars Ultimate. It's so good. I mean, I've watched that. I will literally watch that movie and just to skip to that scene because I just like watching that Duel of the Fates, and I love the Obi-Wan fight with Darth Maul, and like how like I think I don't know if it's true or not, but like I was seeing like reading up on like behind the scenes of that where like Aaron McGregor and I think it's Ray Park, the actor.
Yeah, I don't know.
They memorized that choreography so well that like they were so fast that they had to tell them like, hey, slow down. like slow down. The camera can't pick it up that quickly.
Wow.
So they memorized it so well that they just cool. They just got it so down. That's why they were so good and quick and stuff like that. So I really against popular belief and, you know, Empire is a high up there for me.
Yeah.
Episode 1. A lot of people, and that's another hot take because everyone's like, episode 1.
Yeah.
What is that garbage?
And I love the prequels. We'll get into that in a second. Maybe it's one of them is my other favorite.
Episode 1's up there, and then episode 3 for me.
Yeah,
is right
that would be
there.
my probably number 2. Is
episode 3? Yeah,
so good.
Attack of the Clones was cool, but it was kind of like it was a little forgettable with me. Other than the Yoda fight scene where he's like jumping around, going there.
That was good. I loved Attack of the Clones because I loved Ewan McGregor's like just whole look in that one, with, like the long hair and the beard. Yeah, that's like peak Ewan McGregor.
That's Obi-Wan right there. That's peak Obi-Wan right there. It was great. Yeah, I love that one. New Hope is up there there. I'll give you my rankings and then.
Yeah.
Sorry, I skipped your rankings.
You're fine.
I went crazy with it. Episode 1, episode 3, Empire. I don't want to put Attack of the Clones above New Hope because I love New Hope. That's what started it all for me, and like I appreciate more. So I'll put New Hope, and then Attack of the Clones, and then Return of the Jedi. And then with the sequels, it's going to be Force Awakens. Pretty much how they came out. Force Awakens. Was it The Rise of Skywalker?
Last Jedi and then
Last Jedi and then Rise of Skywalker. That's how it is. That's my rankings right there.
That's a good ranking.
But let's go back to your rankings.
Back to my rankings.
So your number one you said was Empire.
Empire. Okay. My second one would be Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
I'm going to be crazy. My third one, I love The Last Jedi.
Really?
I'm a crazy person.
Really? Okay, interesting.
I really just, I remember watching it in the theater and just like the whole time was on the edge of my seat. I think it's a really good story. I think that like, and it sucks because like I love casinos because like I'm from Vegas.
Yeah.
And that's probably like, the part of the movie that I'm like, they could have like put a little bit more in that because I love Finn, I love Rose.
Yeah.
But like for what they did, like I'm the kind of person where it's like I defend like what was going on with Luke in that movie. I just thought it was really interesting. And, it didn't ruin my childhood that he was acting that way.
Yeah.
I thought it was, like a really interesting way to like put his character. I love like how it ends with like Rey saying like I'm not the last Jedi, and like the little boy who like grabs the broom and it's like is he using the Force? That means that she's not the last Jedi. Like I get goosebumps when I think about it. It's just such a like I really love the like light and darkness of it. I loved like where they were going with Rey's storyline there. Like I really like Rey as a character. I think she's really fun and really cool. I love her hair. But yeah, I also really love Oscar Isaac's character, Poe. I just think he's like so much, he really shines in that movie, I think. And like a lot of that movie is like, I don't know, I remember like when it was coming out and like a lot of people didn't like it and I was like defending it. It's one of the movies that like I really like rewatching because I always like notice something new in it. It's just like really fun.
Again, I think the beauty of Star Wars is that there's like pockets that you can pick out.
For sure.
Each movies and have enjoyable. It's not like the whole thing was horrible. It was a snort fest. Like no, it's like there's moments and stuff like that. So that was your fourth one, right?
That was my third.
Third one, okay.
What was the fourth one? I think probably like A New Hope. That one is so good. I mean, I've watched that movie like literally a million times. Yeah. So it's hard because like that's one where it's like I used to be like I could watch that all the time, but now I'm like I'm A New Hoped out. Like give me Empire Strikes Back. I'll watch that like all the time. But yeah, I love New Hope. I mean, the like twin sunset scene, all the music there. I love Leia. Like in that movie, I love Han Solo. He's my man. It's just like it's like nostalgia. It's so good. Like it's what made me love Star Wars. I mean, is that the one where the Gonk droid's tortured? That's my least favorite part of any Star Wars film.
That's Return of the Jedi.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't
in
like
Jabba's palace.
That one is last on my list simply because of the Gonk droid.
Just because that scene, like everything else was great, but that scene just makes it like
it makes it sad.
I hate
like
this movie.
That's my baby boy. Like you gotta leave him alone.
Yeah, they were torturing with the little heater, like
so sad, so sad.
Okay, so
number 4, New Hope.
New Hope.
5, I'm like trying to remember them.
Yeah.
Number 5, I think probably. Number 5. But like, what are the movies? I would say maybe like Phantom Menace would be a number 5.
Okay.
Because I do love like everything you said. I agree with you. Like that last Duel of the Fates is incredible. Like I can't listen to that song because I get so amped up and I'm like I could run 10 miles right now.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's so good. And it's simple. I think it's mainly just because I watched that movie a lot because my brother. Oh my goodness, my brother and I were like. He was a huge prequel fan. Like Anakin Skywalker was like him. Like he thought he was Anakin Skywalker. Oh my goodness, He like had the hair, the episode 3 hair. He had that for years. And he was just such a huge, like he loved Anakin and Darth Vader and that stuff. So I watched like that. I watched Phantom Menace a lot. I mean, I know it's not Hayden Christensen in that movie, but I watched like the pod racing scene so many times.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
And it's a great scene. It's great. But by the millionth time, I'm like, let's change the channel.
All right, let's see.
But it's good. Like it's a top 5 for sure because it's like so, sets up like so much of what the prequels became. Right. Number 6, I would say, what's the one after Phantom Menace again?
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Yeah, that one's a good solid 6, just because like Ewan McGregor looks very beautiful in that. I love Anakin and Padme. All the like Padme's outfits in that are so good.
Yeah.
And I also really like it's funny because like when I think of the prequels, I really think a lot about the Lego movie, the Lego games.
Oh yeah.
Like on the GameCube.
I loved,
And so
Those are
I
fun.
only ever think about like those because like I watch the movies, but like oh my gosh, my brother and I played that game, and we would like play together because he could do dual play.
Yeah.
So we would like he would usually make me like the secondary character because he's the older brother.
Yeah.
So he would get so mad if I ever like turned into a gonk droid because I would just walk around for.
Come on, Maralisa, we got to do this.
And we would play in the like the cloning area a lot. Like we did that a lot.
Nice.
I love Boba Fett and I love Jango Fett. So they're a big part of that movie and I love them. Number 7, I think like Force Awakens would be number 7.
Okay.
Yeah, like I really liked all the setup that they did for that one. Yeah, I liked it. Like I thought it was a really fun movie. And then I think number 8 would be Rise of Skywalker because not to say like just because it's like number 8, number 9 doesn't mean that I don't think they're like good movies. I really like them, but like just compared to the other ones, it's like Empire Strikes Back, like that's got to be the number 1.
Oh, for sure,
Or Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah,
like,
if you're
those
putting
are
up
so
to the
good.
tiers, you're like, okay.
But I really did like Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was good. Yeah, so that's like kind of just the list, the general list.
Sure, definitely.
And number 9 is literally Return of the Jedi, just because of that
one scene,
that tortured gonk. But you know what? They come back a little bit with the Ewoks. I love the Ewoks. I think they're super cute. And Leia's outfit in the forest is amazing. I know I just like I don't know, like the outfits of Star Wars are always so much fun.
Yeah.
That's like such an integral part that I think about, like the rebellions, the outfits, the droids. Like I just love all the droids.
Except that one scene.
Except for that one scene with that gonk droid.
Yeah.
And so those are, ranking my Star Wars.
Okay, not bad.
But I love all of them so in like all of their own different ways.
For sure.
Like there's always like one moment in a Star Wars movie that I'm like, that's so good.
I agree.
Like incredible.
Definitely, I agree. Like a lot of people like to hate on them, a lot of people like to bash on them, but there's bright spots and stuff like that. I mean, I feel like I like to play both sides of the spectrum of you either love them or you hate them.
Yeah.
I like to be in the middle, kind of like, girl, I understand your hatred for them or stuff like that. I feel like, okay, you're passionate about it. You grew up with this, and it's like if you're seeing it go in a certain direction, it's like as if you're watching One Piece and then Usopp becomes like non-cowardly anymore. He just becomes like super buff and like
that'd be rough.
And like you're like, oh come on, that's not who his character was.
Yeah,
you can kind of like compare it like that, and I can also see where it's like like there's moments to have in these movies that you can pick out and say, hey, these were great scenes, these were great, awesome. The directions that they filmed it was good. Story wise, maybe that's another whole different podcast topic of lore wise, how like did they mess it up? Did they do a good job? That could be a whole thing. But like as a film and cinematography wise, I think it did a good job on as an overall and stuff like that. We'll close it off with this here. We talked all about Star Wars, talked about your life. We'll do one more nerdy thing here is any Star Wars video game that you enjoy playing. We already talked about the Lego ones. We talked about the Lego. Talked about
those are the best ones.
Yes, the great ones. Is there one that kind of stuck out to you that you really enjoyed?
The problem is I haven't played too many of the like other besides the Lego ones, and I haven't even played like the new Lego Star Wars game. It was really only like the GameCube ones. I've played Jedi Fallen Order. I only have a PS4, so I can't play Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
And I'm I'm really bad with spoilers. I get spoilers about anything. I've gotten spoilers for One Piece.
Oh,
awful.
man.
But I'm trying to like stay away from any spoilers for Jedi Survivor until I can like actually play it.
Yeah.
So I don't know like the vibe of that, but I really like Fallen Order. I thought it was super fun. I love Cal. I love the witch girl. I can't remember her name.
Oh, I forgot her name too. Yeah.
Yeah,
she's from Dathomir. Yeah.
She's so fun. Like I think that was a really good story. I think that if I play Jedi Survivor, that would be like my favorite Star Wars video game because I haven't really played the Battlefront games.
Okay.
I did buy like one of the ones that was like, I think it was on my PS4, but I haven't played it.
Yeah.
But it's like where you get to fly the starships and stuff. I can't remember the name of it right now. But yeah, I like genuinely just like from nostalgia purposes, like the Lego Star Wars games were just so much fun. And I loved like those were the ones that like the characters didn't speak. So they would just have to like
the grunts and the
they'd have to grunt and like that was like really how my brother and I would like hang out all the time.
Yeah.
Like anytime he would be like, do you want to play Lego Star Wars with me? I'd be like, my older brother wants to play with me. Like he wants to play a game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like he never wants to hang out with me anymore. So it was really fun to just like get to play that with him.
Yeah.
And like relearn the Star Wars games in that way. Yeah, the Lego Star Wars, like that whole, like they're just, I love them. Like they're so much fun.
I agree.
Yeah, I really like those ones. But if I ever get to play Jedi Survivor? Yeah. I think that would be my favorite. I've heard certain things. Like, I've had a lot of people tell me, like, you're going to like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I bet I will.
Yeah, I've been playing it. I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm enjoying it. It's fun. Okay. You definitely enjoy it. Yeah, we just gotta get your hands on a PS5 or a PC gaming computer.
I know. I'm trying to mooch off of someone. I'm like, can I come over and play it? And they're like,
hey,
no.
come on over if you want. You can play it. It's fine. It's cool. It's chill. You can always come over and play some video games whenever you want. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here on this podcast here. Thank you so much, Maralisa, for coming and sharing your story. It was awesome just hearing it. I was like, you took me for a ride. I was like, oh, snap.
I hope it was a good ride. It
was a good ride.
Like, I'm over here now and now.
Yeah. No, it was great. I was like a whole season of like of an anime I was watching. I was like, oh, there's laughs, there's thrills, it was good. So you nailed it. And viewers that are watching or listening, wherever you guys are listening, first of all, thank you so much for listening and watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought of Maralisa's story, and do you have any other stories that are similar like that? Comment leave a comment below and let us know. I'd love to hear it. We'd love to share it and stuff like that. Go check out Young Jedi Adventures. Go check out and Puppy Pals. Puppy Dog Pals. Go check it out. They're on Disney Plus, right?
They're on Disney Plus. So season 2 of Young Jedi Adventures is going to be out in August. We can start saying that now. Yay! So it's going to be really good. Nice. Super excited for that one.
So go check those out. Go support your girl over there, Maralisa. She's worked on those projects. I'm excited to see your future, whatever else projects you get to work on as well. But yeah, thank you again so much for joining us. Guys, thank you guys so much for joining us. Y nos vemos para la próxima.